What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, Danni Stefanetti. Oh, it's Italian, Danni Stefanetti. I know, I'm making fun of her name. But it's going to help you to remember Danni Stefanetti, DanniStefanetti.com. I'll send you right there right away. I'm excited to talk to Danni Stefanetti and find out the person behind the music, all the way from Perth, Australia to LA, the area. And I guess she's recording in Nashville. So yeah, there's a lot we got to talk about with Danni Stefanetti. So stick around. This week's shows, let's see, I have two public shows this week. I have the usual Friday night gig, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the video dance party, karaoke jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. The video dance party, karaoke jam. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're at it, come on out to the Rab. Friday nights in Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM is when my show is on. Get there early, stay late. Have fun at the Rab. And then on Saturday, usually I have private shows, but I have another public show on Saturday night. I'm at the Choctaw VFW in Choctaw, Arkansas from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. Sometimes we go a little bit later. Sometimes they have a lot of fun and they go, they just won't let me go home. Which is great. It's great. I love having fun with people. They got a full bar. They got pool tables. They got some food. They got good people. They got a big giant dance floor. And of course, we have a stage that belongs to you. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you at the Choctaw VFW, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. All right. I'm so excited to get into it with Danni Stefanetti. I know I'm going to flub her name throughout this podcast. Danni Stefanetti. She's got a new song called The Timing Was On. And let's talk about the timing. I got her on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version, check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/Keys Dan. Skyping Danni Stefanetti now. Winner! Look at you. And hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Danni Stefanetti. Danni Stefanetti. It sounds so Italian. Is it Italian?
That's right. You got it. I am half Italian on my dad's side.
Well, all right. Well, I've been told my whole life that I'm half Cuban, half Irish, half Italian. I know that's three halves. I'm a big guy.
And we have basically the same name. It must be short. Keys Dan. You must be short for Daniel. Well,
it's tall for Daniel. Okay, no, it's Daniel. It is. You are correct. Danni. Now, is that Danielle?
Yes, exactly.
That's fantastic.
My real name.
Super fantastic.
Am I delayed?
What's that?
Am I delayed to you or not?
Maybe the tiniest bit. Nothing I can't work out. I'm sure that the fans that are watching this will see you right there and go, wow, you're fantastic. You're talking to Danni Stefanetti. I cannot believe it. The vapors. Oh, the vapors. No way. I can't believe it. All the way from Australia to L.A. Why L.A.? I thought people were leaving L.A.
I know. I came before the pandemic. Back in when I was at the end of 2018, I came out here and I decided to stay, and I've been gigging and doing a lot of music out here, and it's been fantastic. But in the pandemic, a lot of people did leave Hollywood, they call it. But I don't think it's that weird. I mean, I love it down there, but I did move to the desert, so there's no traffic or anything like that.
There's only a few places you can be to make music in the music business. Traditionally, it's either Nashville for the country stars. I guess
Right.
that spectrum is really broadening, just like LA used to be for the rock and rollers and for the people like the Eagles and the Tom Petty's and I guess even the Van Halens, even though some of them are from Texas and some of them are from LA and the California area. But I guess there's only a few places you can really go in the United States to make music.
Right.
But I tell me about Perth, Australia. I think I knew a lady named Rachel. I was like a pen pal with a lady named Rachel in Perth. Do you know her? I'm just kidding.
I don't know, but yeah, it is a small town, that's for sure. So yeah, like you say, Jackson Browne and that whole California country rock crossover came, Joni Mitchell, Jackson Browne, and Carole King and all that was, coming out of America. And I guess the multi-genreness of Los Angeles intrigued me a lot, but I always thought I'd end up in Nashville. So, hey, life's full of surprises. So Perth, Australia, I don't know how much you've heard of it. No, well, I love koalas. You probably heard that about me.
All right.
And as you'll see from my backdrop, I call my supporters and my fans my little koala bears. That's my pet name I have for them. And Perth is like a little beach town. It's kind of a hidden gem. I just really enjoyed my childhood and teenage years living there. And America has some little bits of similarities, especially when I go to the ocean, but it's so different because the population is just so much bigger out here. So I think that's the biggest difference. But it was a pretty chill way of growing up out there. I really enjoyed it.
Well, one side of the Pacific or the other? Is it sand and surf and all kinds of beach time, beach fun? Did you do any of the surfing? Did you do any of the traditional? All right. Growing up, I guess class of 86, I'll date myself. Way back in the 1900s when I graduated, there was the only thing we knew about Australia is, wait for it. Go ahead, say it. You can finish my sentence for me. Nope. What do we know about Australia back in the 1980s? A man named Paul Hogan.
Oh, is it Crocodile Dundee? That
guy. He did more for tourism. I wanted to be in Australia so bad.
Is it Crocodile Dundee?
Yes, because of that guy.
Okay,
I wanted to be. I wanted to know it.
Didn't he?
I wanted to be there. I wanted to go to the Outback. I don't even know what an Outback is. I know that there's steakhouses named Outback now. I think I've been to one of those. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's okay. Shots fired. Outback Steakhouse. Shot fired. Hold on.
We got good coffee.
I'm sorry. Say again.
We got really good flat whites and good coffee in Australia.
What's a flat white?
And good seafood. Really good seafood in Australia.
What's a flat white?
A flat white is kind of like your lattes, but for some reason our milk tastes different down there. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, is it homogenized? Because I know that if you get raw milk, and some people do live by raw milk, farmers will go straight from the teat and drink the milk from there without being homogenized. Forget about science. They drink the milk straight. Is that the kind of milk that you get in Perth, Australia?
No, I think we have whole fat milk. But I'm not an expert on milk. I drink almond milk and all different sorts. But I just feel, I don't know, our flat whites is something different. It definitely, and I think you can get it out here. There's some Australian coffee shops in Los Angeles. So I've had it out here and I really enjoy it. It makes me feel like I'm home again sometimes.
I like the way you say Los Angeles because I think that's more to the proper pronunciation. Los Angeles, the city of angels.
I'm working on trying to sound a little bit more posh than when I first got off the boat,
Well, no, the Australian accent is going to be endearing. First of all, you get off the boat. I guess it's the boat.
Fresh off the boat. I used to talk like that when I first got here. I was like, "Oh no, and where's the car park? I'm going to put my guitar in the boot." And people were like, "What is the boot?" The back of the car.
All right. Well, later, one of my favorite podcasts is Science Versus. I know I'm going to plug another podcast with Wendy Zuckerman. She's from your neck of the woods, from out that way. And she does a lot of science debunking. And I appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
But, being a girl from a small town in Perth, Australia, everybody knows everybody. The advantage of that is everybody knows your business and everybody helps you out, but everybody knows your business. And everybody helps you out, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's definitely grown. Perth has become different to probably than when I left. A lot of stores have opened, a lot of new eating spots. But it was a pretty free-spirited, I would say, music industry. You got little pockets here and there of music in that we call it Frio, the Fremantle scene, where bands like Tame Impala came from, and a lot of psychedelic rock is happening over there. So I kind of created music by myself in my art room and just did it, but it allowed me to just experiment and find my sounds, and then I'd go out and gig at all the local bars and festivals and all the events down there. So it was a good place to do my music, but one day I always wanted to be out here in the States. Everyone wants to be in America.
Anybody that checks your bio, you've done the work. You've walked the walk. You've talked the talk. You've been working hard. Even if you just look at the YouTube itself for 13 years at the very least. And my goodness, that must have been when you were 6 years old, you started. But, so to me, everyone under 30 looks like a fetus, which is great. And I know before I was 50, I worried about my age.
I've been doing this since I was, like a child. So
yeah, I worried about my age before I was 50. And then after 50, don't worry about it. Let it go. Let it go. But in the entertainment business, that's part of it. That's part of the thing. You could be fired for being too young, not blonde enough, too blonde, too tall, too short. There are no real rules in the entertainment business. At least that's the way it was when I was growing up. If you don't look a certain way, if you don't act a certain way, if you don't sing a certain way, you could be fired just for that. You could be not offered the job just for that. Is that something that you grew up with as well?
I do remember I had two complexes, but one was a complex other people had of me and one was my own. But one that people used to talk about to my mum, they'd say she's got nice songs and all, but she's not going to make it because of her teeth. Now look at her now. My dentist said to me that he wanted to take photos because he did such a good job of the braces. So I'm very thankful for braces because I know what they looked like before. So yeah, people will say different remarks, and then my nose has always been Italian, so I've got quite the nose, but I got that from my dad, and I haven't. I've had people say on my social media she should get a nose job and things like that. I thought that is so rude, but I can't change it because then I'll change my voice. So I'm stuck with it. Sorry, guys. But I think over the years with YouTube and all that's happened with the trends of music, I feel like there's waves, almost people want you to look not pretty, and then it comes back around. I feel like you just got to be who you are because you can't follow a trend because by the time you've caught up, you just got to, make yourself look as good as you possibly can. But, a bit of makeup here and there. But, you just got to work with what you have, really.
Look at me. I'm gorgeous. I wake up in the morning. I wake up like this. No, but
we got to be grateful for what we have,
I know Barbara Streisand, her whole early career, they told her to get a nose job. But that was going to ruin her singing voice. And then Freddie Mercury had the famously buck teeth. And they told him to get his teeth fixed. But my goodness, the man had 5 to 7 octaves. He was the greatest rock singer of all time, arguably. And to change your face, to make that instrument any different, no. Now, there's a few different sayings that I've really latched onto. Don't worry what people think of you. It's what people think of you is none of your concern. I love that one.
Wow.
That is one of my favorites. Yeah. I can't remember who did. I think it was anonymous because I play it on radiowhat.com. I do a lot of great quotes just to remind myself and my listeners of, people that came before us, the giants that we stood on the shoulders of. And speaking of giants that stood standing on the shoulders, who's buying you the records back in Perth? Who's giving you that musical taste that makes a Danni Stefanetti?
That's a really good question. And you got my name right. Now, it's a hard one to pronounce, so good job. You've been practicing. So my dad, Georgie Porgy, I think we still have it. It's in my music room. We have this old record player, and I'm not sure if the record player works, but it has like a whole console with these vintage speakers and all. I remember there was a cabinet in there with all my dad's old records from Dire Straits, Peter Frampton, Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, and I would just like go through them. And I was already learning the guitar. I had a really great guitar teacher. I was getting into Stevie Ray Vaughn and Hendrix and all the blues and rock. But my dad's records, I was like, Dad, what's that Ventura Highway? It's on that record, and Hotel California. And I got stuck on that one till it, started not working anymore. But that was my dad's ear. He had a good taste, and my granddad was into the old school country music. So I got a bit of that. And my nana said, listen to Eva Cassidy. So I got that for the vocals. And then all that riff stuff, Led Zeppelin was definitely a big influence for me growing up.
That is a good musical education, and big ups to Georgie Porgy. Dad, Mom, great job picking out some great music. Some of the record players, I have maybe 2 records left in my collection. The rest of my records have been stolen. Back in the 80s when I started, it was 2 turntables and a microphone. Now it's digital wheels of steel. The nice thing about that is that I can grab a Danni Stefanetti song right away and put it out to the crowd at the club, and people will go, huh, who is that? I go, oh, that's Danni Stefanetti. I talked to her on the podcast this week. You need to check that out. That's one of my jobs.
I hope you do play it. Maybe my new rock stuff that's coming out, you can play at the club. And You Got Me Thinking of You might match as well.
Well, I mean, it's not that kind of a club. Sometimes I play what I want. The nice thing about Friday nights at the Rab, it's not like when I was in Miami doing clubs on the beach where I was only playing dance music or hip hop or top 40 remixes. Now I choose the theme, whatever I'm feeling. And as long as the vibe with the crowd is in, Danni Stefanetti, the timing was on, pops on that screen because you have a nice music video of it. And I play a lot of music videos when I'm doing my thing, and that'll be on the screen, and people will go, who is that? That is pretty good. I'll say, that's Danni Stefanetti. Look her up. Check her out on DanniStefanetti.com. I mean, that's my job. I don't play music. I've had guitars. I've had harmonicas. I've had various musical instruments. There's a full piano out there that when I carried in from Guitar Center, it almost killed me. Yes. But it's sitting there in the corner. And thankfully, my daughter can play it. My wife can play it a little bit. And I'm happy about that. But I can't play a lick. But I'm glad that there's people like you.
We need people like you playing our music, so it goes around, doesn't it?
Well, this is my lease in life, is to promote people like yourself, people that are at this level and want to get to that next level, because you've done so much on your own. And I see that you have management. You're not on your own. You have people that help you. You've realized.
I do. I have a great team.
Yeah, you've realized that you can only make it this far. You could be a SoundCloud professional at this point, but you can go that much further. All right. So when you get out of Perth, I mean, who came with you from Perth to LA? Was that a direct jaunt, or did you come all by yourself with your bags packed and your little ponytails and all the way from Perth?
By myself. I came with Penelope, my Gibson J45. That's my acoustic guitar, and I also brought my electric guitar with me. So, and I think I brought one suitcase, or maybe one or two, and another suitcase. So yeah, I wasn't just by myself because I had my guitar that I've toured with my whole life, you know. So I felt like I had something from home, you know. So that made it a bit easier.
This portion of the podcast brought to you by Gibson. Gibson, please. This portion of the podcast brought to you by Gibson. Gibson, please sponsor Danni Stefanetti right now. Give her lots of money.
I'm with PRS.
Oh, wait.
I love
Carlos Santana.
Yes. Yeah, I play their Silver Sky. I was playing the Fender Strat for a couple of years, and then I moved over to the SE, that baby blue guitar that you see me play. I play that a lot. That's the Paul Reed Smith, so I'm really enjoying that one right now.
Well, I know that he's the one the Carlos Santana is the one that made it real famous, the Paul Reed Smith, the way that he plays.
Oh, definitely.
You know, your playing style, you've been doing this a long time. You said that you were a little girl. I mean, okay, yeah, I'll date you. Not physically.
I just lost you for a second. Sorry, okay. Dan.
No, I'll kind of date you. When did you graduate high school, or when did you start playing music? How old were you when you started?
Well, I started playing the guitar when I was around 8 years old, and I didn't graduate school. I knew I wanted to do music, so I went to the high school prom, and then I was like, all right, see you later, guys. I'm making an EP. I'm making some music. I'm going on tour. And I was out of there as soon as I could.
Oh, yeah.
I had better things to do. I was like, I gotta finish these songs. Like I got appearances to make.
No, and some kids will make that choice. It's a hard choice to make. For the most part, parents are going to be down with that. Don't do that. Or down on that, not down with that, down on that. Don't you finish your school, have a couple of years of college, get that in there. But if you already have the idea of what you want to do, my brother graduated, he quit school with 2 months left before he graduated. Yeah. And we all thought, man, what a dummy. Then he went to the Navy. Then he got, he has a wife and 4 kids. He's doing quite well. Yep. And he's on the West Coast. He's on your side of your side of the woods. He's up in Walla Walla. So, I had a couple of opportunities come up when I was 16 in my final year, and I did like a couple of months of that final year. And by that stage, I was opening for Glenn Shorrock from the Little River Band, and I got given a scholarship from him, and like different things were happening, and I couldn't focus on my homework at all. And my parents were pretty chill about it. They knew I wanted to do music. So I would practice 7 hours a day, the guitar. I was going to lessons constantly, just trying to learn as much as I could. So I don't think it was going to work with my homework as well, it just wasn't going to work. Well, there's a lot of people that think that with YouTube and with all the information that's out on the internet, going to college, going to higher education, it's going to become less and less important as long as you can learn the basics or learn a craft. I'm all for people learning a vocation, even guitar, even learning how to play guitar. There's plenty of songs about people learning how to play guitar and getting on stage and making their way. And there's a lot of stories about people that try that and fail miserably and end up falling on their faces. But you get up and you try again. But you said that you were doing stuff in Perth, in and around Australia. Who gave you that guitar and started you in on lessons? Who was the one that put you in that direction?
Well, my parents gave me a couple of my first ones. I don't know if it was the first or a couple down the road. My granddad did give me one as well to practice on. But my mum actually put me in lessons because we were flicking through the newspaper, and she said, would you like to learn violin or guitar? Because I was doing dancing at the time, and she could see that I was a little bit unco, like I wasn't good at it at all. And so she said, we're going to find you a hobby. So I said, oh, how about the guitar? Not many girls were doing it. And then next thing, the teacher wasn't going to take me on. He said, she's too young. Her fingers aren't ready yet. And Mum said, just give her one try. And next thing, I'm writing songs, learning G, D, C, with those chords. And he was teaching me Beatles songs, Eagles, all of that music. And it didn't take long. The voice took a while to catch up, but the guitar was attached to me from that moment.
Well, you said
I couldn't put it down.
You learned 3 chords, and that's one more chord than Ted Nugent. So I think you did quite well. He's notoriously 2-finger Ted, where he can only play 2 chords, which is great. He went a long way with those 2 chords for sure. And you keep mentioning the Eagles, one of the first 8 tracks. And yes, kids, learn what an 8-track is. One of the
8
first
tracks are great.
Yeah, one of the first 8 tracks that I owned was the Eagles' Greatest Hits, and they were. When the Eagles came up with the greatest hits back in 1975, right in the middle of their career was flying high. Why are you going to make a greatest hits? That's an album that people make at the end of their career. And they were like, well, we have this, people like, it was made for people like me who buy an album and maybe like 1 or 2 of the songs, and only 1 or 2 can be played at the club. But if you get an album of a whole album full of hits that you could play at the club, the Cars' greatest hits, the Eagles' greatest hits. But my first ones, let's see, it was the Eagles, Stevie Wonder's, the one that Superstition was on, and Steve Martin's Wild and Crazy Guy. Those are the 3 8-tracks that I owned, and that informed me a lot. So you had information galore, and a lot of it was West Coast of the United States. And that's your dad. You got to attribute that to.
Then I had like a mix of Shania Twain, and I even had. Would you want to know what the first actual CD I brought myself?
Hit me.
Do you want to guess?
Let's see.
It's not like a guitar virtuoso or anything like that.
Shania Twain's Red.
No, it's actually Britney Spears. Hit Me Baby One More Time. That was like one of the first.
That was going to be one of my guesses. 1999. My goodness, she was 16 years old. And me, I'm a little too old to have really been a fanboy of Britney Spears. But there is still a webpage from a station that I worked at in Miami called Keys Dan's House of Britney. And you might be able to find it. And it's kind of frozen in 2005.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then, I think I had a copy of the Spice Girls as well. But back when they did they brought out the Impulse bottles, and all the girls were getting them.
What's an Impulse bottle?
It's like a deodorant, but like a really good. At the time, I thought it smelled really good. Maybe my taste has changed since then. But yeah, the Spice Girls had this like really sweet flavored Impulse, and every girl wanted it at the time. It was kind of like the Swifties, buying her bracelets.
Well, my flavor was Drakkar Noir, and that's very sweet smelling, made of gardenias. My grandmother's favorite flower is gardenia. If you look in her front yard, there's still a gardenia plant there. So that smell always, made me think of my grandmother. But my wife didn't like it, so she put an end to it rather quickly because it is very sweet smelling. So the things we do for love, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you're doing it. You're doing the job. You took that guitar. You could have played a couple of chords and put it to the side and never played it again and gone off and done whatever. You could do whatever you want. That's nice about what's going on in this day. In these days, it just gets better and better. You can do whatever you want in this life. You have opportunity.
Information's out there. You just gotta, I guess. You can have almost too much information. What I liked about my childhood was that, like, I didn't. As soon as I I was like, okay, no dancing for me ever again. But as soon as I just stuck with just the guitar and singing, and then songwriting just happened, I just stuck at that one thing. I didn't go like learn languages or like anything else. I was all in, and then I didn't have too much information around me, so I could just like zone out and for hours be in my dreamland. And I feel like because I didn't have any distractions at that age, they were all the years of me finding who I was creatively and using that as a palette to be able to express myself. And so yeah, I think it's like once you find what's working and the thing that comes easiest to you. Like when I was writing songs in 5 minutes, and still to this day they come out really quick. That's like a gift. You feel like it's a gifting. You just got to run with it, because it's like that's not. Sometimes some people have like a footy player or something, if they're like really good at it, like, and other people find that really challenging to be in front of a stadium and playing like that. But some people are just like, oh, it's easy, you know. They obviously have that's their calling. So you just got to find that calling, you know.
Yeah, there's a couple of different types of musicians and entertainers. There's some that will stand still, kind of like Whitney Houston. Now, sadly, Whitney Houston, she had one of the greatest voices ever recorded ever. But she didn't dance,
she did. even
though she had a song called "I Want to Dance with Somebody."
Sorry, I got my cup of tea.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, where's my cup of tea? Oh, it's in the refrigerator. Okay, I drink a lot of tea. So funny enough, I'm kind of an Anglophile. I like all things British, all things English, all things UK. I don't know how you feel about that in Australia. Have you been more independent there? But I'm thinking about, you know, Whitney Houston. They used to call her Rhythmless Nation, kind of after, well, you mentioned Ventura Highway and Janet Jackson, a very famous dancer singer. She had a song that was riffed off of Ventura Highway, had that little guitar riff. And I can't remember the exact name of the song, but I remember when it came out in the 80s and the early 90s, musicians and DJs like myself were ripping a lot of the music from the 60s and 70s.
Without you, baby.
That's it.
Forever and ever, baby. Yeah, oh, I love that song by Janet Jackson.
You're sending little chills up my spine. I know that we talked about maybe doing some songs while you're here on the podcast, but traditionally playing a whole song on a podcast, I send people to the website, to the YouTube, to the Apple, to the Spotify. All those links are in the show notes. Go get them. I want to know the person behind the music. Who made Danni Stefanetti the person that she is? And it looks like you got parents, you got teachers went by the wayside. See ya, except for the guitar teacher. Who taught you guitar?
Oh my, like school teachers. Yeah, I had some nice teachers. I think like that last year they were like giving me my grades and they're like, Danielle, you didn't do too well this week. And I'd have like a big smile on my face.
Because you knew you were gigging that weekend. You knew that you were going to be playing at the club.
Like my dad was like sneaking me into bars to play out till like midnight, you know. I'm a schoolgirl.
I think the statute of limitations is up on that. Your dad can't get in trouble for it. Or maybe he can. I don't know. I don't know the law.
No, I was just playing my original songs at open mic night, so I was allowed to be in there. So,
well, okay. What were the original songs? Like the Moon Looks Pretty and tell me about
Actually, there's some that won't be released, but a few that I played at that age were there. There was one called The Rodeo Show. It was very laughable. And there was one called Fly Me to a New Town. I had some like really funny songs. I had quite a sense of humor when I was, in school. So I wrote about things like if my parents didn't let me go somewhere, I'd put it in a song.
We've all gone through that.
I'd write about my different family members. So
I know when I first started.
Watch out, Danny might write about it.
When I first started on the radio, I was third banana. So they called me Dancing Danny G. I was the guy that they put on the street holding a pair of tickets, but dressed like Cupid in a diaper, or dressed like a leprechaun, or dressed like all kinds of, like Santa Claus, dressed like a chicken, but that's how you got your tickets. If you found Dancing Danny G hanging on the side of the road, we all have to pay our dues. You're singing songs that maybe you're a little embarrassed of now, but I'm sure the koala babies want to hear all these songs. They want to know. They want to know where Danny.
My parents found the footage the other day, and I was just like laughing the whole time. It's pretty cute though, because I was like, "This is a song," and I sounded hella Australian. Like I was like, "This is a song I wrote, and my parents told me I couldn't go to Tamworth this year." And I was like, so Australian. It was so funny.
Well, that sounds like a great throwback Thursday or flashback Friday. Is that still a thing? I want to see Danni Stefanetti back when she was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, doing her thing, or maybe even 16 years old doing her thing.
Yeah.
I'm this many, and I play guitar. I'm this many. No, I can imagine. That's sweet. It's endearing, and it's going to make your fans love you even more. Or, hey, if it's just too much. If it's just too much.
Little koalas. Yeah, I will bring it out. Why not? There's one up there when I was like 11 or 12 that I put out the other day. It was pretty cute.
All right, where's it at? Where do I on the?
It's on my Instagram page.
Okay, it's on your Insta. All right, all right.
It's on my reels. Okay. Yeah, check it out.
All right, I got your Insta there. The Insta's in the show notes. Check that out. Oh my goodness, Danni Stefanetti. We barely scratched the surface. You just got to LA with your guitars, with your beautiful guitars. I guess kind of like a teddy bear under an arm if a Midwest girl came off the bus. But at least you had something. But you had no one. You had no idea of how to make it. Or did you? Did you have a clue?
Luckily, I had like a couple of friends out here, and I'd come out here on a holiday, and I saw a couple of the venues. I kind of had a plan of I knew I could make it work. I knew I was led there. And then with I'm quite a tenacious person, and you have to be in the music business. So I would literally go to any venue that was open, and I would take in my CD, and I'd say, "Have you got music here?" Because I'm a singer guitarist from Australia, and I'm in Hollywood. Every second person is an artist, but I was like, I got to pay my rent. I got to survive out here. So I went out. I said, "Excuse me," and they say, "Sorry, we don't do music here." I said, "Why not? How about if I play the first night for free, and if the people like me, we can work out a rate." And then, I got the gig, and it kept happening.
See, that is paying your dues. That is doing the job. You're busking for the most part, but you're busking inside somebody's establishment. Working for tips that first night, and then finally,
I wanted them to see what I do before they paid for it. But
there's only
I could be a big star in Australia, but you have to start again in America. People don't care what you've done in. You can be like, "I was really good in Australia." And people are like, "Well, we don't care."
Well, there's only so much you can work for exposure before you need your rent paid. So I'm glad that it worked out, and you walked the walk. This is when you were alone, I'm guessing, for the most part, independent, doing everything on your own. I remember when I first started DJing, it was 2 turntables and a microphone. I didn't really have to MC all that much. I mean, until a little bit later, it was I was either the MC and I had a DJ behind me, or I was the DJ and I had an MC in front of me that was kind of hyping the crowd up. But now I have to be all those things, and I have to be the guy that works on social media, and I have to make the flyers, and I have to be the street team.
You have to be it all. Wear many hats, and I had a couple of great agents as well that were helping me get different shows, and that worked out really well. But I've really grown over the last 4 or 5 years out here in America, and my shows have just gone up. I recorded a whole album, Danny's Diamonds, with legendary Jeff Panzer. I've been working with William Lee Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys, won a couple of American awards, and it's just I couldn't imagine as an indie artist, I've stayed true to just being indie with management, and we're doing this. We're giving it a good crack without a label, we did a whole studio album, just me and Jeff Panzer.
Well, not going to traditional,
the whole thing.
not going to traditional school to learn the business of show. You stood the risk of maybe being eaten alive, metaphorically speaking, possibly. But thankfully, you seem like you have a good head on your shoulders. You're not immediately going to sign on the dotted line and take that advance. Yeah. Or was there a lot of that as you were growing in the business? Were there people saying, "Hey, I give you this advance, pay your rent for the next couple of months if you play this guitar for me and sing into this microphone"? Was there a lot of that?
Well, luckily, my dad was my road manager, and he protected me a lot, so that was good. That was in Australia. And then I feel like, we've all tried different things and sometimes they don't work out, but I have never been with a major label. And part of that is also I've always been multi-genre and I wasn't quite sure where I fitted. And I've finally, over the last, I would say 2 years since I got management, I've kind of like grown into myself, and that's why the timing was on my last single was so special, because it really is about timing. Like, people could say, oh, I don't like this about your music, or I don't like this about your look, or whatever it is. People will have their opinions. But it's funny when you start to feel like it's 2 years, like it's all like coming together. And people are doing so. I've got about a team of 15 people that post videos for me, that do artwork. Like, they just do it because they love my music. And I call it like Danny Land Records. I've got like a whole record label basically, marketing. Yeah, just because they've become my koala bears and they believe in what I do. And that says even more, because like I don't have an advance and to keep up with. I don't have to pay back for doing an album and things like that. So it's very rewarding. And all the touring, I know I just get that independently. And I kind of like it because I am a multi-genre artist. I don't have to go through like 10 people to check if I can put out a poster or different things. I have like the creative control to, choose. And you can't buy that. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, you mentioned Tay-Tay and all her and her albums. They said, oh, we need at least 2 country songs on this album. Well, Taylor wasn't feeling that at the time. So, she said, no, I'm not singing country right now. Do you bow down to the record company or do you take your creative control and move elsewhere? It's a balancing
the right fit. A major label, they can definitely give you a lot of exposure that you sometimes can't do yourself. But yeah, it has the benefits as well. But then it's a slower build as an indie artist. But I guess depending on your style, Susan Tedeschi, and there's a couple of artists that are on the bluesier side that have done it independently, I heard, and doing extremely well. I mean, they're selling out theaters and I don't know if stadiums, but I mean, they're doing huge shows and festivals. And so that in this day and age, you can do it yourself. And you can have labels. I've had labels looking at me, yeah, for sure, especially in America. And actually, one of the top record labels in America said to my manager, Jeff Panzer, keep doing what you're doing. So we went, okay, cool, we're doing it then. It's all good,
to get accolades, a pat on the back. You've had awards given to you for the various things that you've done over the years. And with the social media the way it is today with YouTube, wasn't just Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj, didn't they first start out on YouTube? And there's a lot of SoundCloud DJs and musicians that started out just putting stuff out on their own, maybe working in their bedrooms and just putting stuff out, just throwing it out there, seeing what sticks. But that doesn't seem like the way that you did it. It looks like you've crafted, I don't know if it's a smarter route, but it definitely is a way that works. You didn't want to put out those songs from 11 and 12 years old right away, saying with your little squeaky Australian voice saying, oh, I wrote this in my bedroom. I'm this many, that kind of thing. But you did put out some things that were a little more polished and a little more ready for consumption. Am I getting all that right? Hold on.
Go ahead. I've cut out again. That's part of why I wasn't looking for to be signed at an early age. I've now got over a catalogue of 300 songs, and I own all my publishing. I've done, obviously some co-writes as well, but a lot of my catalogue, because I'm a prolific writer, I was cautious about signing anything because I didn't really want to give away all my everything I own, because that's worth too much to me for a little advance or something. So I know what I'm sitting on, and I also know that this new record is some of my best work that I've ever done, and I now know how to fully produce drums, bass, and the whole thing. Like, there's horns, strings in this album. And then William Lee Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys even let me produce one of his tracks as well. So I'm like able to put dobro and all these cool instruments in there. So I guess like sometimes when you hire out a studio and pay for a producer and session players, you might not even get like exactly, because you're under like you're paying for studio time, like you've got a lot of pressure, like management, everybody's waiting for you to like come back with something great, right? But when you do it from the comfort of your own studio, like you got like no pressure, you can actually be creative and just like take your time with it. And that, I think that's why this album came out so organically. I wrote the whole album in 2 afternoons when I got back from Nashville, and then Jeff Panzer, like we arranged it and put it all together to make it like a fully like John Mellencamp type production.
That is incredible. That is unbelievable.
But I didn't think it was possible, Dan. I told Jeffrey, I was like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not producing. Are you kidding me? Like, we need a session band. Like, we need to go into a studio.
No, it's amazing.
Because we want budget.
You know, the stories that you hear about musicians that make it overnight. Well, a lot of times it takes 13 years to become an overnight success. And it has taken you some time to get where you are right here. And as long as there's progression, and it's, I mean, for sure there is, this is, you feel your best work. I agree, you know, that, you know, looking at the videos that you had 13 years ago, yeah, they were good, but they just get better and better and better.
I want that growth. I feel like there's artists I see that play guitar and blonde as well. Like, you know, good on Taylor Swift. She's doing so many things right now. And I feel like I didn't get that success at a young age, like a Taylor Swift or something. And it's taken me a lot longer, and I've stayed under the radar and haven't released as much music, and I like kept it all. Now I'm just like, bang, it's all coming out. Like, everybody, well, open the door because I'm coming through.
Being a blonde lady with a guitar, there's going to be little girls looking up to you. Do you want to be a role model? Do you think that you're able to have that responsibility? Do you keep yourself a certain way, give yourself a public image? I mean, people are complicated. Who knows what happens behind closed doors? I don't want to know. And most people don't want to know. But at least to the public image, you seem pretty clean cut, you know, and you're putting out things that would make mamas proud to have their kids, especially their daughters, listen to. What do you think of that?
Absolutely. I always have seen little girls at my shows, and I try to give them like, you know, little koalas, or get them to learn Moon Looks Pretty Tonight, or sometimes get little girls up to sing with me. I sang at church for many years, and then it was weird because I wanted to do rock and roll, but then I was also singing at church. I like a bit of both, so it's like a bit of a mix. I am what I am, you know.
You're not the only one. You have no limits. Elvis Presley, the quote unquote king of rock and roll. I still keep a key to the Heartbreak Hotel. You just came back from Tennessee. You know, there's a lot of Elvis in there.
I love Elvis.
But he's saying a lot of gospel, a lot of rock and roll, a lot of rockabilly, a lot of whatever he wanted to sing. You know, a lot of black music, R&B, I guess what would be considered hip hop now, but I guess really he died before the big hip hop craze. But he sang what he wanted to sing. It made and he made it shine. I don't want you to have limits, and I'm glad that you've stayed primarily independent. Now, when did you make the jump? I've had agents over the years that have hired me out for different things like weddings and corporate events, and you know they take a little off the top and they give me the rest. And that's what usually what an agent does. As opposed to a manager who takes a percentage of whatever. But have you made that jump to where you have people that are working for you, that are counting on you somewhat, Danni Stefanetti, to make it so they could pay their rent? Do you have people in your team?
Yeah, my agents, I've got some really good agents that book me, and they take, you know, what they take, and I've been very pleased by the shows.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy.
Well, I mean, just the person that
and they love having me on their books. So,
well, I mean, just I have some anonymous person that said to arrange a podcast for you. I still don't know who your agent is, but they said, "Hey, we want to arrange an interview for D. Stefani," and it's Stefanetti, and it doesn't matter who they are because they're pushing you forward, and that's how they. It seems like that's how they felt. But I like people that give credit where credit is due, and I know that we have to wind this thing down. We've talked for quite a bit.
A great amalgamation of people that have. Can I give a few names? Shout out.
Shout out. Go. Give credit where credit is due.
I'm just gonna thank I'm gonna thank obviously my parents, and this is like a Grammy speech. No, just kidding. I like to thank God, and I like to thank.
What do I have in front of me?
Jeff Panzer.
My
Jeff
Xbox
Panzer's
controller.
been a great manager.
What do you have in front of you that you can hold while you're thanking people?
Yeah, my manager, my Angel Wing, she does great graphics and videos for me. Epic Roxy, she's almost doing promoting me all the time. She's been doing it for a while. And Mark Hudson, he also is always promoting me. I got a whole bunch of people, Donna Marie, a KGC show, Caden, William Lee Golden, a whole bunch of people that I'm probably going to leave out, Jim Crabb. It just goes on and on. There's and all the radio presenters like yourself and people that have just started sharing my music. So I'm thankful for that. And the country community that have been very loyal. So, yeah.
Well, now that you're in my circle, in my periphery, anytime I see you on social media, I'm going to try to share you. That's the easiest thing that somebody can do to help up an artist like yourself. Yes. Any artist. I don't care if you're Twisted Sister or, Danni Stefanetti. If you share them on your social media, share them on your Instagram, your TikTok, your Facebook, especially. I think that's the easiest place to share something, or take a video like the latest, the timing was on video, and share it on all your social media, and make sure that you give credit to Danni Stefanetti. That way people know when they're looking at these various things that they go and find you at DanniStefanetti.com, which is a great website. Who built that website for you?
John Luchetti at Green Room Strategies. I hope I'm saying it right, but thank you, Alan and John Luchetti. You guys are awesome. Actually, John built that website for me, and he did a really great job.
It's a great job. It gives you the whole bio you were talking about. I had ideas of who you were. I don't do a lot of research. I want these things to come out organic, somewhat like your last album came out, and it makes it like a conversation.
It's more spontaneous.
Yeah, I get to know Danni Stefanetti, and I get to stalk you. I mean, follow you. Stalking is such an accurate word. I don't know. Is it? You've grown up with social media, and have you known a life without social media? Has it been a part of your life the whole time since you've grown up?
A lot of it. Not my childhood though.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I didn't watch TV even. I never watched it much. I did to pretend I was doing jingles to the ads and annoy my brother, but I didn't really. I watched movies on DVDs and stuff that my mum would have that she passed down to me, but I didn't really get into television.
What are your favorite movies?
I like What a Girl Wants, and what else? I love The Notebook, and they're probably my favorite too. I love A Star Is Born as well.
Fantastic.
And especially the Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson version.
You have to watch both. I just watched both Roadhouses, and, I tried not to compare them, tried to let them stand alone. So a movie that's a classic movie and then a remake for the next generation, I try to see it as a standalone. So I do appreciate the Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson, and I do appreciate the Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga as well.
Same.
You know,
both brilliant.
I think there was another Star is Born as well. I don't think I've seen the one from way back.
Yeah.
So, hey, there's a lot of King Kongs. But anyway, I digress. That we're going to save that for Danni Stefanetti Part 2. I know we've only really scratched the surface.
Lady Gaga was brilliant in The Star is Born.
So the main thing is check out, where do you want people to find you on social, or if they step into your IMs, business only, business only. Are you open to collaborations? You said that you collaborated before.
Yeah, I have. You never know. Hit me up. We'll see. At the moment, I have it's a pretty busy amount of shows I've got on, but you never know. So yeah, I think I might be coming back to Nashville sooner or later. And so yeah, I'd love to hear from everybody and jump onto my website, follow my socials and all of that.
Well, I mean, I'll put this out in the next couple of days, but tell me about the shows that are there regular places that you go to in Nashville and the LA area and maybe out in the desert? My goodness, you're living in the desert.
Yeah, I'm posting everything because I'm near Palm Springs. I'm posting everything on my website on the tour date section. So a lot of them are corporate shows and things like that. So I can't post those ones. But when I got a public one, I'll post it. I have got a show to release. I'm opening for a big band down in California soon. So I'll release that information soon when I can. And yeah, apart from that, just keep following my website, and I usually post it on Instagram as well.
Corporate gigs are kind of fun. They're hit and miss. It could be you playing on a chair in a corner and a lot of people just talking over your singing, but you're getting paid a good amount of money to do that thing.
Yeah.
Usually corporate gigs pay well, but they're not like the most conducive to a concert unless people are really there to see a show.
Yeah, it depends on the crowd, doesn't it? Yeah, it depends on the night. It always depends on the night. What mood people are in. Yeah, I'm just grateful I'm playing music and getting paid for it, you know?
Yes. Well, I wish you all the best. And I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by. This could be something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. And I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. As time progresses, I want you to come back anytime. But Danni Stefanetti, give the last words for the people.
The last words for the people. I'm going to do actually a quote from one of my songs, 17 Stars, and I'm going to throw that out for everybody. And I got 17 stars above me and a God that really loves me. I got a lot of faith. I got a lot of faith in you. It's from my song, 17 Stars. So that's my quote for everybody.
Well, there you have it, party people. Danni Stefanetti. Check out her latest song and her latest album. The timing was on. I guess it's Danny's Diamonds is the latest album. Look for that on Spotify and Apple Music, and even on her website. There's places to go there and find stuff on her website at DanniStefanetti.com and find out a whole lot more. Follow this nice young lady around and make sure that you share her stuff on your social media. It's always a good thing. So excited. And I see nothing but good things happening. She's doing it the right way. I know the quitting school, the daddy in me says, quitting school, but she's making it. She's making it. She's one of those chosen few that make it. You know, sometimes you got starving artists, and I'm sure it's not always cream at the top. I'm sure there's a little bit you got to dig out the bottom to get to where you want to be. So metaphorically speaking, of course. I'm glad she's got a team. Danni Stefanetti, thank you so much for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Now, if you, yes, you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.